Have you ever felt like no matter how much you give, love, or stay, he still doesn't see you? Not the way you laugh to hide your pain, not the way you pull away when you're tired of being strong all the time. Women are praised for their beauty, admired for their strength, desired for their bodies, but rarely understood for what they truly crave. And the truth is, what women long for isn't loud, it's quiet, subtle, deep, hidden, in moments that most men overlook. This video reveals the 7 hidden secrets women never say out loud. Not because they're complicated, but because they've learned most people don't listen deep enough to hear them. If you've ever felt emotionally invisible, if you've ever stayed silent just to keep the peace, if you've ever craved something you couldn't name, this is for you. Because when a woman is finally seen for all that she is, she doesn't just love harder, she awakens. And that changes everything. Have you ever spoken your heart only to feel like your words floated in the air unheard? Have you ever poured out your pain, your joy, your fears, and watched him nod, but never truly get it? That ache you feel, that silent frustration, it's not because you're too emotional, it's because you're starving for something deeper than being listened to. You're craving to be understood. There's a difference between hearing and understanding. Most men hear the words, but miss the meaning. They miss the tremble in your voice. They miss the way you pull back when you feel unsafe. They miss how you ask, "Are you okay?" Not because you're nosy, but because you see him and you're hoping for the same in return. But when your emotional world is brushed aside, you start to shrink. You start to wonder if you're asking for too much. You start to lose the fire that once made you radiant. And that's where the slow erosion begins. A woman doesn't want a man to fix her pain. She wants him to stand in it with her, not with solutions, but with presence, not with advice, but with awareness. She wants to be held emotionally, not just physically. She wants him to ask, "What does this feel like for you?" And then stay long enough to hear the answer without defensiveness, without escape, without turning it back on himself. This kind of understanding is rare. But when it happens, when a man leans in without trying to fix or save or silence, she softens, not because she's weak, but because she finally feels safe. And when a woman feels safe, her love becomes limitless, her laughter returns, her sensuality opens, her heart starts to breathe again. She doesn't want you to be perfect. She doesn't expect you to have all the right words, but she hopes quietly, deeply, that you will try to understand her, not in passing, not when it's convenient, but like she matters. When a woman feels understood, she heals. And when she heals, everything changes. Her love deepens, her trust rebuilds, her body stops bracing for impact. She begins to rise again, not because she's finally been heard, but because she's finally been felt. To every woman who's ever felt invisible in plain sight, you were never too much. You were just asking for a kind of love that most don't yet know how to give. But that doesn't mean you stop asking for it, because you still deserve to be met completely. Have you ever laid next to a man and still felt completely alone? Have you ever smiled, laughed, made love, all while a part of you quietly wondered, "Am I truly safe here?" Not just in body, but in soul. Women don't just crave protection from the outside world, they long to feel safe inside the relationship. And too often, the place that was supposed to be their refuge becomes the place where they have to hide the most. When a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe, she learns to shrink. She stops bringing up what hurts. She stops asking for more. She stops expressing what she truly wants. Because deep down, she's learned that being honest often leads to rejection, dismissal, or conflict. She's too tired to fight. So instead, she adapts. She becomes easier, less emotional, less herself. But safety isn't created through silence. It's built through presence. A woman wants to know that her emotions won't be turned against her, that when she says, "I'm not okay," she won't be labeled needy or dramatic. She wants to cry without being shamed, to disagree without being attacked, to express desire without being diminished. She wants to be all of who she is, messy, radiant, soft, fierce, without fearing abandonment. And when that kind of safety is missing, she starts walking on eggshells, not because she's fragile, but because she's wise. Her nervous system is protecting her. Her body knows what it feels like to be punished for emotional honesty. So she armors up. She becomes the cool girl, the one who doesn't ask for much, the one who looks effortless on the outside, but is silently screaming inside. But here's the truth. No woman should have to self-abandon in order to stay loved. Emotional safety is not a luxury, it's the foundation. Without it, intimacy dies, desire fades, and love becomes survival. When a man creates emotional safety, a woman transforms. She softens, not because she has to, but because she wants to. Her femininity flourishes. Her voice becomes music instead of defense. Her body trusts. Her soul exhales. She's not asking you to never make mistakes. She's asking you to make her feel like she doesn't have to defend her existence, that she doesn't have to fight to be believed, that her emotions don't make her a burden, but a human being worthy of compassion. Because when a woman finally feels safe, she doesn't just stay, she blooms, and the world gets to meet the version of her that was never meant to be hidden. Have you ever been in the same room with a man, but felt like you were the only one who noticed how far apart you really were? Have you ever tried to connect, not with grand gestures, but with your presence, and felt like he was somewhere else entirely? A woman doesn't crave perfection. She craves presence. And when it's missing, she doesn't just feel ignored, she feels invisible. So many women are starving in relationships that look full. The photos, the plans, the routine, it's all there. But what's missing is the moment, the gaze that lingers, the hand that doesn't just touch but holds, the silence that doesn't feel empty but intimate. You can do everything right, but if your presence is absent, she will feel the loneliness louder than words can explain. A woman knows when your body is close, but your mind is miles away. She knows when your answers are rehearsed. She knows when your affection is automatic. And the moment she senses that, even slightly, something inside her starts to shut down. Not because she wants to pull away, but because her heart no longer feels like a safe place to land. Presence is not about time, it's about attention. It's about being with her, not just next to her. It's about the way you look at her when she's talking, the way you listen without waiting for your turn to speak. It's the tiny, consistent moments when she feels like the center of your world, not out of obligation, but out of choice. So many women have had to become too strong, too independent, not because they wanted to be, but because they've had to be emotionally alone, even while physically accompanied. They've stopped asking for presence because the emptiness has been louder than any "I love you." But when a man returns to the moment, when he leans in, when he remembers that his stillness is more powerful than any grand act, a woman starts to breathe again. She softens, she trusts, she unfolds in ways words can't describe. She doesn't need you to perform, she needs you to be there, to see her, to feel her presence with yours. That's when connection becomes something sacred, something you don't chase because it's already there. And when she feels your presence truly, deeply, she doesn't just feel loved, she feels chosen. And for a woman who's always felt a little unseen, that moment changes everything. Have you ever been in a relationship where you were technically together but still questioned if he would choose you all over again if no one was watching? Have you ever felt like you were just part of his life, not the one thing he'd protect, not the soul he'd fight for, but the woman who was simply there while he kept one foot outside the door? That kind of quiet rejection doesn't come with loud breakups. It comes with the ache of being unclaimed. Being in a relationship isn't the same as being chosen. A title means nothing without the emotional weight behind it. Women don't crave possession, they crave prioritization. The kind of love that says, you're not just someone I'm with, you're the one I wake up choosing every single day. There is a unique pain that comes from being the one he keeps, but not the one he cherishes. You do everything, you support him, love him, show up, but something's missing. You don't feel adored, you don't feel held in his eyes like you're irreplaceable. You feel tolerated, not treasured. Every woman wants to feel like she is the choice, not the default, not the safe option, not the placeholder until something better comes along. When a man truly chooses you, his energy shifts. He stops performing for the world and starts protecting what he has with you. He stops being vague and starts being present. He becomes accountable. He becomes there. But when he doesn't choose you fully, you feel it in every half-hearted touch, in every delayed response, in every vague answer. You try not to notice it. You tell yourself not to overthink, but your body knows, your soul knows. You feel the difference between being loved and being convenient. And yet, so many women stay in these spaces of almost love, hoping one day the man they see glimpses of, the one who could choose them, will finally do it. But the wait slowly kills your self-worth, because every day you're not fully chosen, a piece of you begins to disappear. A woman who is chosen doesn't glow because she's owned. She glows because she's seen, because she's not asking for attention. She's receiving devotion. And if you've never known that kind of love, maybe it's not because you're asking for too much. Maybe it's because you've been giving too much to a man who never truly knew what it meant to choose you. But your heart was never meant to beg. It was meant to be held, fully, fiercely, and without hesitation. Have you ever been told you're beautiful, sexy, irresistible, but still felt profoundly unseen? Have you ever had your body praised while your soul went untouched? There's a kind of hunger that compliments can't feed. And for so many women, that ache comes from craving something men rarely understand: depth. Not attention, not attraction, but deep emotional intimacy that reaches beneath the surface of desire. A woman doesn't just want to be wanted. She wants to be known. She wants to be touched in the spaces no one else sees. She wants her thoughts to matter, her pain to be witnessed, her dreams to be remembered. When all a man offers is desire, she begins to feel like a mirror for his pleasure, not a home for his presence. She craves a connection that doesn't stop at the physical. She longs for someone who's curious about her, not just her curves or her body at night, but her mind in the morning, the things that make her laugh, the stories she hides, the fears she pretends don't exist. She wants a man who doesn't flinch when she's vulnerable, one who stays when the makeup is off, when the truth is raw, when she's not trying to impress but simply trying to be. The world is full of men who want to sleep with her, but so few ask how she slept. So few remember the little details. So few slow down enough to really feel her rhythm, her energy, her silence, her shifts. Because desire is easy, depth requires presence. Women are not starving for sex. They are starving for connection. For a man who sees the beauty in her chaos, for someone who listens when the words are hard to find, for someone who looks into her eyes and doesn't look away when the truth is heavy. That kind of love the kind that reaches the heart, the spirit, the depth, is rare. And it's the one thing she's never stopped hoping for, even if she's given up saying it out loud. Because when a woman is truly seen for more than her body, she begins to bloom in ways no surface-level desire ever could. She becomes alive in her softness. She trusts again. She feels safe to open, to give, to receive. If she's ever pulled away from you, maybe it wasn't because she stopped loving you. Maybe it's because she was waiting for you to stop looking at her body and start seeing her soul. Because that's what she craves the most, to finally be felt, not just touched.